We're developing various solutions for quality control, and today we will develop the solution for received item, raw materials, and supply approval, and go through the various steps of quality control regarding the purchase order items. So before we start, let me introduce the workflow of this solution. So once the form is sent out from the creator, the purchase manager, Jeanette, will be asked to review and decide whether to approve the form. If she denies, the form will be sent back to the creator. And if she approves, lab technician Relay will perform the quality control inspection and send all the results to the lab manager, Michael. So once reviewing all the results, Michael can choose to either approve or request another inspection from the lab technician if he thinks something went wrong. So finally, after granting all the approval needed, the form will go back to the creator and get saved automatically in eBA. Now let's get started to the demo. So after logging to the eBA application, so if you click on the eBA and click on the new quality control process, here, as you can see, there's a drop-down list from the eBA, and there's a list of open orders that you can choose from. For example, we're picking this order number 30, and by double-clicking it, all the fields will be automatically popped up in eBA. And as you can see here, under the purchase order lines, those are the order items that are listed here. And there is an option for the quality control. Set an expiration date if you think the items will be expired. For example, if we click on November 30 as expiration date, and there is 2 boxes for you to check. If you want to automatically send out a reminder in advance of the expiration date, for example, before 3 weeks, we can do that. And if these purchase items are in periodic control, we can also click on this box, and then we can send reminders, for example, every 2 weeks for them to making sure that we are undergoing the periodic quality control. Once you fill out everything and making sure it is correct, you can go ahead and click on Send. Now the operation is succeeded, and from the flow history, as you can see, the next person in charge, who is Jennifer, who is the purchase manager, is waiting to approve this purchase order. And as you can see, by clicking on the flow scheme, this is the workflow of this purchase order. As I have previously mentioned, there are 4 parties involved: the creator, the purchase manager, Jeanette, the lab technician Relay, who will perform the inspection for the purchase items, and finally the lab manager, Michael, who will making sure everything is correct and go ahead and approve it. Now let's switch accounts to purchase manager Jeanette for approval. Here on the home screen under the approval side, you can click on purchase order quality control. And by double clicking on this pending item, we can see this is the one we just created, and making sure everything is correct, and you can then go ahead and approve it. Now this flow transfers to the lab technician Relay to perform the inspection, as you can see from the flow history. So now let's switch account to lab technician Relay. Here comes to the dashboard for lab technician, and still under the approval section comes to our quality control lab process. And by double clicking on it, we can perform the initial test. So here, under this final inspection area, those are the results that need to be entered by the technician. And then the technician can send the result to the lab manager for a review by clicking on the Send Results button. So for here, let's come up with some numbers for now. Once the lab technician fills out everything and making sure it is correct to his discretion, he can click on the Send Results button. And here under the flow history side, you can see Michael is the person who is the lab manager and waiting to approve this inspection. So let's switch accounts. And still under the approval section, we click on the quality control lab process and double click on this purchase order. And as you can see, the inspection results that is out of range will be highlighted in red color. That means those areas are abnormal. Now the lab manager have two choices for now. He can either send the approval inspection result to the flow starter or request the lab technician to have another inspection if he thinks some of the areas here is misleading. So for now, we will go ahead and click on Approved Result. And finally, the workflow is done as you can see here. So let's go back and switch back to Administrative's account. So still under the Approval section, and click on the most recent one which we just created and review the results. And as you can see under the bottom one, there's a laboratory result performed by the lab technician, and by double clicking on the search button, we can review the final inspection results. As you can see, here are some areas that are abnormal. So for here, for example, under this scenario, the items fails inspection. The administrator have the choices to create receipt. So the system will automatically generate the purchase receipts from eBA. So for now, the system will automatically generate the purchase receipt once we click create receipt, and then this purchase order will be sent back to the warehouse because it fails the inspection. And there's another scenario which all the items passes the inspection. So from that side, the users can either create a purchase receipt and release it automatically or create a purchase receipt only in eBA. And both under those two scenarios, as we can see, we can retrieve this laboratory results. So let's go ahead and create receipt. So here it mentions the operation is done successfully. And now let's go back to see what's the next step in eBA. And under the archive side, let's pull over the result we just created. The purchase order number is 30, which was just created by us. Let's double click on that. Here we go. This is the purchase order from we just created, and this is the laboratory final results. And the next step you can take is to click on the corrective action. And this will integrate you from eBA to QDMS for any corrective action. And you don't need to enter any information because the system will automatically send over information to QDMS and fill in all the required fields, as you can see here.